It was a really good way for me to chill out because I had quite a stressful job. I find that when you mix, anyone watching this that's a DJ, when you're mixing, you can't really think of anything else. So it becomes almost quite a bit like a meditation. Because if you imagine you're going from left to right and you're having to really concentrate, that was my way of switching off.
We found the starting clip for the episode right there. That's really good. Taking you guys on a journey of the music of the past, present, and the future. Welcome to Mambo Tales. We are here, episode 3, right up here in the studio here at Café Mambo Ibiza, and we are with the amazing resident DJ here at Café Mambo, playing night times, CARLY WILFORD. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Welcome up here in the studio. This is a newly renovated studio.
It's gorgeous, and it's so nice to be here in the daytime, because normally I come at night, and it's so beautiful in the day. That view is just stunning.
Okay. So let's get right to it. First off, for everyone that we know, she is one of our resident DJs. This is your first year playing at Café Mambo.
Yeah, first year.
Like you've never played here before, like just like an offset or anything?
No,
first time playing at Café Mambo. Amazing. First year as a resident DJ at Café Mambo as well. We have our roster of resident DJs. She is one of them. She's here on Sunday nights. Let's start from the beginning. Where are you from, and how did you arrive to Ibiza?
Okay, so I'm from the UK. Before I moved here, I've been living in London. I'm from a county called Northamptonshire originally, but spent a lot of time in London. Obviously, in the music industry, it's so important to be there. So before I moved here, that's where I was living. And then I've come out here because I work for Tomorrowland. And I do a radio show for them. Every single week, I do the house music show on their radio station, which is called One World Radio. And throughout the summer, we're broadcasting from out here. So Tomorrowland have a store in Playa d'Embossa. And in the store, we record mixes and interviews with artists. And then that's put out on the radio every single week. So I do the house music show, which is called 4x4, followed by another show called Live from Ibiza. So we've had some amazing people join us. People like Lily Palmer over the last few weeks, Korolova, Roger Sanchez. Last year we had people like Paco Osuna, Francisco Yendez, Tini Gesler, Frankie Wah. So we're based over there, and I'm here on the ground interviewing artists. I'm also a resident DJ there, so I play there on Thursdays. And that's what brought me to Ibiza. Okay.
And how long have you been doing that? That side, not the Mambo side.
So I landed here in April.
Okay, so this is the first year.
My first year doing a season. And I kind of literally landed and hit the ground running. I had to go straight to the store the next day. And we did a load of opening shows for IMS in the opening weekend. And then I've just been non-stop since. Obviously, I'm based here. And as a DJ and producer, obviously I get shows all over the world, right? So I'm traveling. Really cool, I'm traveling from here quite a bit, but always make sure that I'm back here on a Sunday as much as possible so I can play for you. But yeah, it's been an amazing summer so far. Obviously, as we record this, it's July, right? Yes. So we're kind of mid-season, but it's just been amazing from start to finish.
Doesn't feel like mid-season, but it's crazy how fast things are flying. Yes, that's wonderful. So I guess let's go back even further. I'm interested to see how CARLY arrives to that side of things. Let's talk about that. So how you arrived to music first and foremost. Music in Southamptonshire?
Northamptonshire.
Yeah, close. Northamptonshire. How that's written, by the way, I lived 2.5 years in England. How that's written, by the way, is crazy for me as an American. I'm just like, I could never pronounce it when I saw how it's actually written. But so when did music become such a big thing for you? Do you remember?
It's really interesting because growing up, I came from, I suppose, a musical family.
Did you?
But no one I knew ever worked in music, you know? Like it was part of your life growing up. I remember my dad, he used to have a convertible car, and me and my sisters used to have the roof down and get him to put on dance music, and we'd just be like, so that for me always brought back amazing memories. And I think he had really good taste in music, and so did my mum actually. So it was always playing in the house, but I never dreamed that would then become my career, let alone one that's taking me all over the world. But interestingly, my first step into music as a career was when I decided that I wanted to be a presenter. And I remember going to auditions, and I was at an audition once, and one of the other presenters said to me, look, if you want to make this easy for yourself, pick a lane, pick a genre. So whether that's sport, fashion, kids, music. And when she said music, I was like, hang on, how cool would that be? So from that day onwards, I basically decided, I was like, well, okay, maybe I try that lane and see how I get on. And so I started auditioning for stuff within music. But within that, I found it really tricky because you're kind of putting your career into someone else's hands. They tell you if your face fits or not, if that makes sense. So they're like, well, yes, you're right for this role, or you're not right for this role, or whatever. So I decided to get my own camera and tripod, microphone, and I started running around London interviewing loads of unsigned musicians, and I set up a YouTube channel, and some of the artists that I was interviewing and backing went on to do amazing things. So we're talking people like Ed Sheeran, Maverick Sabre, Rudimental, because I'd be getting sent unsigned music to put on the website, and I just used to feel it if they were really talented. So then what happened when they became successful, and I was one of the first people to interview them, people like Becky Hill, Anne-Marie, all of those, as their career rose, so did mine. And so, yeah, I got into music through being a presenter, and then landed a presenting job on a station called Rinse FM in London, which is an underground music station. And at the time, there was a pre-record room where you could pre-record radio, and it had decks in it. And so years before, I had like vinyl decks in my house that I taught myself to mix on. But when I realised that radio in the capacity that I was in back then didn't pay a lot, I needed to find another income stream. And so one of my mates said to me, they were like, Carls, I know you can DJ, why don't you just get out there and do it properly? So I used to stay behind after my radio show and taught myself to mix in the pre-record room. And then I just got myself out and about in London and started DJing.
So you had taught, okay, that's really interesting. So you had taught yourself how to mix, but it was because you were looking for, or you were already
I just love dance music. So when I had a normal job, I used to do like recruitment and just sales and stuff. I had a big group of mates, and we used to love raving. We literally used to get in our car at the weekend, go all over the UK, go and follow huge nights and huge DJs, and we just loved going out. And so around that time, I just got myself some decks at home. I used to go vinyl shopping on a Saturday afternoon, just taught myself to mix just for fun. Just for fun.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was really fun. And actually, like, it was a really good way for me to chill out because I had quite a stressful job. I find that when you mix, and anyone watching this that's a DJ, when you're mixing, you can't really think of anything else. So it becomes almost quite a bit like a meditation. Because if you imagine you're going from left to right and you're having to really concentrate, that was my way of switching off.
We found the starting clip for the episode right there. That's really good. That's really good. I really like that. Okay, I've never heard that one before.
Really?
Yeah, we've interviewed so many DJs now up here. I've not heard that. That's very interesting.
And also, you're kind of using two different sides of your brain at the same time. There's one that's creative and one that's analytical. And the thing is, if you imagine when you're listening to music, both of those are coming into play. And so you imagine you're doing this the whole time. But yeah, it becomes, you have to be very present when you're mixing, actually. And that's why sometimes when you have a hectic set and there's lots of stuff going on and there's lots of distractions, it can be, you have to really zone out and focus. But yeah, you have to be very present as a DJ. You can't be thinking about, what you're going to be doing tomorrow. You have to be thinking about what you're doing now. So, yeah.
Wow, okay. That's deep.
Sorry about that.
No, sorry, please, no.
No light-hearted chat here, babe.
No, listen, check this out, right? We need that. That's the stuff that because so you said for any DJs watching, maybe you're not sure, maybe you don't know, but like a very heavy majority of the people that are watching our content are DJs and future DJs and people that aspire to do what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
What you're sitting up here right now, and it's so cool to hear you say something like that because they're gonna eat that up, and that's something that I've never even heard. So. Yeah.
The thing is, obviously, especially now, like last night, I played Universe for the first time, right? And I stepped into the booth. There was 2 DJs already going back to back. There was loads of people in the booth, and you've got a V10 mixer. Mm-hmm. Now, a V10 mixer, for anyone watching, has a lot going on. There's a lot of buttons and a lot of stuff that can be out on it, and also when you're then mixing with 4 decks, so when you're doing a back-to-back you use that a lot more. So there's so much that can go wrong if you're not in the moment.
Locked in is what we
if you're starting to think about, I've had a row with my partner, or I need to think about this thing on my to-do list for tomorrow, you're going to miss the fact that the DJ who you're taking over from has turned out the bass on the tune and you weren't aware. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you have to be very, very present. It's funny because last night as well, I didn't drink at all. So I was completely sober, and I don't do that every set. Sometimes I have a couple of drinks, but I really needed that because you have to be so sharp in those moments, especially on the big gigs, because they really matter. Yeah. And that was
your first time there too.
It was my first time there. And the thing is, there's so much in any set that can go wrong. And I mean, there's definitely times in my career where I've stepped up and, I haven't caught that before and stuff. You can mix in, you're like, why can't I hear this? And someone before you's turned the filter right down and you weren't aware, or they've turned the filter right up, either way round. So yeah, I think that whole thing of just being very in the moment and being sharp is just so important.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask a little bit more technical questions. I do not technically understand as much of this stuff as you would, obviously, but I love learning about it. I really do.
Sure.
So you mentioned V10s.
Yes.
And you mentioned that when you were practicing, when you learned how to do this, you were doing it with vinyl.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So I've always heard, and I don't know if it's true, you'll be the one to be able to explain this to me. And we're kind of going off the path here a little bit, but this is interesting. That when you already know vinyl, like that's like your first step into the game of this type of music. It's simpler to understand a lot of the other stuff. Is that true at all?
Sure. I mean, the thing is, it's so, if you think about vinyl mixing and if you think about the setup, and actually it took me quite a while to transition over to CDJs, because CDJs for me felt so overwhelming. There was so much going on. Whereas when you're DJing on vinyl, the whole thing is you find the kick drum, right? And you find that first kick drum and you're bringing it in from there. But that's it. You're worried about the BPM because you're hearing the BPM. You don't know what the BPM is as a slider, right? So you're having to use your ears on that. But then it's all about the mix. There's nothing else going on because you've just got the needle, the vinyl, and the BPM. That's it. And then obviously, that's from a mixing capacity. Then you have the mixer in between. But then when you transition over, I remember when I transitioned over to CDJs, I was like, oh my God, there's obviously loops that are coming in. You then the BPM. It shows you the BPM on a lot of. That, right? So that sort of takes it out of it. But it almost becomes a bit of a different style. And I think when I first started mixing properly and DJing out, I kind of changed the genre. When I first was on vinyl, I was a real house head. And then being on the station on Rinse, I kind of went a bit into the bass world. So it's very different mixing. It's quite quick, sharp. You come in and out of mixes quicker than you do on a house track. Like some of the old school vinyls and stuff are like 8-9 minutes long for a tune. And then when you're mixing, especially on Rinse, there was a lot of hip hop, grime, because grime came from the UK, right? So you're mixing then, and sometimes it can be like a 1.5 minute and you're in and out. So it's just completely different. But CDJs are really set up for that. And so it's very different. So I'm a bit of a geek with all this stuff, obviously.
No, that's exactly what we need, and that's what we want to hear. When's the last time you did a vinyl? And would you do one again?
I would love to. And you know what? I haven't done one for so long, but I would love to. I'd be really rusty. I'd need to give it a good old practice.
I'm telling you now, like, you don't have to do it this Sunday, but we would eat it up. We could do like we love it because Andy Baxter has done one, I think, or 2 times, like in the last 2 years. Jason Bai did one this summer, like for the sunset going into the nighttime thing. And I just find them to be just exhilarating. I'm so like, it's such an interesting thing to see, because then you can really see it's a whole different setup. I remember watching a video one time of A-Track. I believe it was A-Track doing like a vinyl thing, and it was just ridiculous because he's like mixing,
He's
and
scratching.
then he's like scratching with
Yeah.
it, and then he puts another one on, puts the next one on, scratching, setting this one up, scratching the. I don't know. I find it to be fascinating. So.
A-Track's the goat at that stuff, though. He really is like so ridiculously talented. But yeah, I mean, you know, I like the fact that vinyl's had a bit of a resurgence, and it hasn't really, I mean, it's gone away, but it hasn't gone away. And I think that's the real foundation of dance music. And I think there's some real old school talented DJs out there, and have so much respect for that.
And you have a little mix of both. So
Wow, I do. I'm definitely rusty at the old vinyl stuff, and I would love. Maybe that should be a focus for the next little while, is to go back and start doing some vinyl sets at some point.
We would love to have one day. It doesn't need to be now. It doesn't need to be
So
this year.
good.
Maybe 2 years, whatever. Whenever you want to do it, we would love it.
Although traveling with it is a lot more tricky.
That was the other thing, because I remember I saw Andy come up here, just like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that looks like, what is that? Like, he's got a ton of them. Like, there was one that was this big, and he's like sitting there flipping through them. Oh, this one, yeah. But some of them look just gorgeous. Like, there's like bright red, bright green, like the actual vinyl themselves. Like, they just look fantastic. I don't know. Okay. So let's transition over. We're talking about the DJ thing. I'm actually really proud about this. Like, our resident group now, I remember my first year starting here, we didn't have as much of it, but now we have quite a few DJs here that are not only DJs, are residents, but they're also producers. And you're one of them.
Wow.
And I think that's super cool. I think it's so cool to see DJs that are doing that, but are also, you know, they have that like passion within them to create. I'm a creator myself. I love creating stuff. So I think it's so cool. So I want to talk a little bit about that now.
You're super talented at what you do, by the way.
Thank you.
You are.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, so like, as a producer, when did that begin? So I know you taught yourself how to DJ.
Yeah.
You wanted to get into music, you know, as a hostess. And you got into music as a hostess, interviewing DJs, interviewing people in music. When did that, and then you said, as you said, you began to DJ, you learned, you taught yourself for gigs and stuff. When did it transition to the point where you're like, I want to start making this stuff myself?
It's really interesting because before the pandemic, I got to the stage as a DJ and I'd done really well, and I was traveling a lot, I was on good lineups, but I felt like I'd hit a ceiling. And so I work really closely with a label called Toolroom Records, and I'd done some presenting work for them. And they do a course, a Toolroom Academy course, which teaches people how to make house music, basically. I did some work for them, and they were like, look, we can either pay your invoice or we can put you on the course.
Nice.
And so I was like, you know what? Actually, yeah, I'll do it. I'm going to do it. Anyway, agreed to do it. The pandemic hit.
Oof.
I was a full-time DJ. I lost all my work, right? But it was perfect because it meant that I was studying the production course during the pandemic, which is mad. Because I think the one thing that I really struggled with music production is being a DJ and being a producer, they're almost two separate skill sets, right? So being a DJ for me is a lot of energy, like being active, busy, and being a producer, you have to sit and focus. And I didn't really have that in my locker. The thought of sitting and learning Ableton for hours and hours on end while I was traveling a lot and touring, I think would have been quite tricky. But because of the pandemic,
Blessing in disguise.
the blessing in disguise, I had nothing to do every day. So I'd wake up and I'd force myself to sit at Ableton for hours, because early doors you have to learn all the nuts and bolts of the program. You have to understand the foundations of dance music, how it's built, you know, understanding about kick drums and bass lines and hi-hats and the relationship between them all, which takes time. And so that's what I did during the pandemic. And so I'm so grateful to Toolroom, not only for that course, but for their support, because the course was only like 3 months long. But after that, it was that thing where I then almost had a focus throughout that time. And I think, and I'm sure for loads of other DJs, if they were in a similar position, it was a really hard time because the thing that you love was suddenly taken away from you. But yeah, then coming off the back of the pandemic, I then had music to release, did my first release on Tool Room, and then, I've not really looked back.
Right. So for me, that's crazy. So pandemic hit. You taught yourself Ableton during the pandemic with Tool Room, as they helped with that. And by the end of the pandemic, you had already had music ready to be released.
Yeah.
So you learned it that quickly, and then you even created.
Well, I mean, we were in it for 2 years, babe. You know what I mean? It was supposed to be 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay,
do you remember them saying it was like, oh, we're going to stay at home for a couple of weeks? It was like, oh, hang on.
Oh, don't worry, Carly, don't worry. I remember. I was stuck in Spain for 6 months. It was the craziest experience. Like 7 months, I was probably trying to go home, and they didn't let me go back to the States. So I remember it. It was ridiculous. But even for me, as someone that doesn't do it, I find 2 years to already have music ready to go to be very impressive. So
also, to be honest, I didn't even. It was the first tune that I ever finished that I got signed, which is even more mad.
Yeah.
Because I collaborated with a MC, a producer called Mr. V, and what was so funny is when we were on the course, I went onto YouTube and I just ripped a vocal off one of his old tunes, put it on top of the track. And then Tool Room were like, we like this, we want to sign it. Have you got the sample cleared? I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, I don't know what you mean.
That's my next question, but go on. Yeah.
They were like, where have you got the vocal from? I said, I just went onto YouTube and ripped it off. They were like, well, Carls, if we're going to sign it, you're going to need to get it cleared. So I emailed Mr. V and his team, and they said, yeah, we'll clear it. They wanted a fee for it, for example. And then the A&R at the label, a guy called Danny Weeks, who's amazing, he came back and he said to me, he was like, why don't you, instead of using the old tune, why don't you ask him if he'd give you a new top line for the same fee? And so I went back to the team and they said, yeah, he'll do it. And then he just laid down this epic top line. Wow. And it came back and we were all just blown away. And that was Generation X, the first tune that I put out. So the first tune I ever finished was the first tune I released. That doesn't always happen.
That doesn't sound like that happens very often.
But yeah, how mad is that? And that just kind of, and my first tune did so well as well, because I think I collaborated with him. I don't even think, it wasn't even planned. It wasn't like it was premeditated. It just happened, and then got put in some amazing playlists, got loads of radio support, loads of DJ support. It just kind of set me off.
How difficult is that? I mean, obviously, the story you just told me sounds like it wasn't that bad, but I've also heard other stories where it's been difficult when it comes to getting something cleared, in terms of like a sample or something like that. How difficult can that be? Or do you find yourself doing a lot of sampling, or that was just like the first one you played with?
You know what? I stayed away from it for a very long time, and I think for the first 2 years, all I did was put out original music. I'm currently sat on loads of tunes that are either edits or bootlegs, which again, they could get legs and be released. But obviously playing here, especially on a Sunday night, people want classics, right? And so whilst I've been here, I've been working on loads of amazing bootlegs. I've actually been dropping them on Sundays. People don't know that, but that's what I've been doing and testing them.
I mean, the nights have been going crazy, so maybe they don't know it, but the results are there.
It's so good. So yeah, and the thing is, obviously, it depends which tunes you're touching, because if you're touching real classics, the likelihood is it's going to be very hard for you to get it cleared or cost you a lot of money. But, that like with Mr. V, he was really open to it. And, if the tune's strong and the tune's good, then you'll be really surprised that a lot of people want to collaborate. There's just certain tunes that you probably just don't go near and you don't touch. But if you do, you've got to do it justice.
There you go. And that's what you did.
Yeah, it's mad. So she's a first tune. I mean, I didn't even, when you're starting out as a producer, you don't even know the rules. I didn't know there was rules. But that's almost good,
Yeah, no, right, because then you're just kind of working at a place where you're just hungry. You don't really realize all that stuff, and you're giving your best effort.
Yeah.
And then they'll teach you the things.
And then you learn the rules, and then you're like, oh, I need to get in line. Otherwise, it's going to be really expensive. Yeah, or your tune's going to get taken down, or you're going to upset someone.
Okay. So you have told us that you are also a resident DJ at Tomorrowland's tour. you also said you were working in some capacity for Tomorrowland back when you were in the UK before you came over.
Yes.
How did that all begin? And then I wanted to ask you, well, let's start there.
Yeah. So I first started working for Tomorrowland on One World Radio as one of their presenters. And I started off doing the Sunday morning chill show. So playing like Fortet, Bonobo, all of that sort of stuff, which is really cool. Pre-recorded. And then obviously as a DJ, you have very late nights. And so a lot of the time I'd be sleeping when the show was being played out. And I love all that type of music. I absolutely love all that type of music. But as you know, my heartbeat is house music. And so at one point, my station manager asked us all to put in ideas for any ideas that we had for the station. And so I messaged and I just was like, look, I'd love to be able to do a house music show for you. Because within Tomorrowland, obviously, notoriously, they're known for a more European, international, heavier, like EDM-focused sound. And when I went to the festival a few years ago, I was walking around and, you know, we play a lot of people, you know, Solomon plays for us a lot. People like High, the core stage for us has a lot of house music on. But generally, I was almost craving to hear more house and there'd be a hub for it. So I just pitched the idea of a house music show. And yeah, they ended up, at first, they said, no, it's not possible. Then they went back and they said, actually, we're gonna make it happen. And so I've been doing the house music show for about 18 months now. And that's what's gone really well and brought me out here. So yeah, but Tomorrowland are incredible. I love being around people that dream really big. Anything's possible. So many creative minds. The guys that run it, just the way they don't think like this, they think like
That's
this.
what it looks like. I don't know much about Tomorrowland. I know that every time it's on during the summer, we're like putting it on a lot of the screens in the office, and we're just, because it just looks incredible. The actual setups, the organization, it looks like you're in a different world almost. How they set a lot of that stuff. The big ones I'm talking more about. But I guess can you explain a little bit about Tomorrowland to us, because you're inside of it, so you would know a little bit more than us. Like, yeah, just give us a little idea about what Tomorrowland is. I know it's from Belgium.
It's based in Belgium. The main festival is, but over the last few years, they've completely flown as a brand. So now we have Tomorrowland Brazil, Tomorrowland Thailand, Tomorrowland China.
I didn't know that.
They did a takeover at the Sphere in Las Vegas, and it's really growing as a brand, as like a lifestyle brand, which is so cool. But Tomorrowland for me, I mean, it's just so creative. A lot of the festivals, like you say, the main one's based in Belgium, but they have themes and they have different stages. The creative teams behind those stages are just absolutely...
I would love to be in one of those rooms one day to hear how they're talking. That's just crazy.
Yeah. So they're a very special group of people, and, you know, just really big-hearted, and just believe that anything's possible. And I think being around that makes you wake up every day and just, you know, if you really want to make something happen in your life, it makes you believe that that's possible.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Which is so great to be around.
That's wonderful. I think it's really cool as well, because I was going to ask that. When I saw the Tomorrowland thing, and then I was thinking about, well, CARLY is a big house person. I didn't understand. So then I realized now, so that I didn't know that part. So like the radio show that you're doing, it's actually for house.
Yeah.
For Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Which is a different sound for Tomorrowland, but it's something that they're doing, and something that you gave them the idea to do.
Yeah,
so
and
really
I
cool.
think as well, it's just so nice. Doing a weekly radio show can be a lot of work, right? Because you're having to go out and hunt for music. I pick all the music for the show. So I'll be like searching around for tunes every single week, and I have quite a focus of the sound of how I want it to sit. But what's amazing is you're then giving, if I have 16, 17 tunes a week that I'm playing, all of those producers globally are then getting a chance for their music to be heard all over the world. Because One World Radio is global, right? So we broadcast in so many different countries. And that, I think, as a producer in your own right and as a DJ, is just such a nice feeling to be able to help those producers to be heard by a wider audience, especially within a brand like Tomorrowland that's notoriously quite clear on its sound. But it's been such an amazing journey, and it's really fun, like really, really fun. And so that's why I love the fact that the flight, I was telling you off camera, we'll talk about that in a second, I'm taking from here to Ibiza, from here to the festival, sorry. I'm going to be able to play house music on.
I wasn't sure if we were allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about it, yeah.
Okay, so you will be playing at Tomorrowland.
Yes.
Which, that's crazy, first off. That was going to be my question if I was allowed to talk about it. So you will be playing house music on the flight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just going to explain actually, so what's happening. So obviously I'm based out here for Tomorrowland, and Tomorrowland are chartering a flight from Ibiza to the festival in Belgium, which is in a couple of weeks' time. I'm going on that flight and DJing 30,000 feet up in the sky.
I wonder if 10-year-old CARLY, if you had told her she'd be, DJing on a plane, how she would have taken that.
You're gonna make me cry. That's mad, isn't it?
That's ridiculous.
And living in Ibiza, which is just, honestly, living here is just so special. And I think, I literally can't wait. And I think the thing is, with this journey, you just never know what's around the corner, and especially working for Tomorrowland, you get an email and you're like, right, do you want to do this thing? And so, it's so exciting. But leaving Ibiza to fly to Tomorrowland in Belgium to play house music above the clouds.
So how long is that flight? So let's do the math on this set. How long is this set gonna have to be? This is interesting.
I don't know. I don't know how ravey it's gonna get.
Also,
because normally on a plane you have to sit down and behave, don't you? So I don't know if everyone's going to be told they have to sit down or everyone's going to be out their seats.
Well, here's another question for you, and this is as we're going. So obviously the genre of music, the type of music, you're gonna have a different type of rave crowd. Yeah. I believe, at least from my experience. I work at Mambo, so I've been doing this for 5-6 years now. The Mambo crowd, we're ravey, but we're not like, I've seen videos of some other types of crowds, like, where it's like, a little bit crazier. So the genre of music, would you say that also depends on how ravey we're going to be getting on there? Because you're playing house music on this.
Yeah, of course. But you know what it gets like here on a Sunday. Also. Last Sunday was so crazy. Yeah. Literally, there was one moment and there was just people just like coming into the booth. The thing is, it was funny because last night when I played Universe, Fisher played, obviously the main room, and Clooney was there.
Okay.
And Fisher then dropped Clooney's tune, Free Your Mind, right?
It's like the biggest song of the summer. It's one of them.
My love is what you find.
It's between that one and the Girl, Let Me Talk to
Another.
You.
Yeah, exactly. But then you watch everyone lose it, and that's a house track as well, right? That's not a rave tune.
To be fair, that's true.
Yeah. So even in like really ravey crowds, and especially I'm from the UK, right? So ravey for me is like going to a really dirty drum and bass set. But now it's like people do, like whenever I play that another tune here on the terrace, it's quite chill, but everyone goes mad. Yeah. So I think that's the thing now is people just love a good melody, they love a classic, they love grabbing their mates in a headlock and singing every single word. And so I can imagine that's what's going to probably happen on the flight.
Okay, well, you're obviously going to have to prepare for that for sure.
Any recommendations?
Oof. In terms of music or
what do you reckon? What do you reckon I should drop? What goes off here?
What goes off here? Yeah, I mean that's the difference though. You're dealing with a different crowd there though, aren't you? Than a Mambo crowd. That's another thing I think is so interesting because like the Café Mambo, you said it earlier, like the Café Mambo crowd, the people that come here to watch, they're looking for classics. Yeah. That's not necessarily the case everywhere you go. Like you just played last night in Universe. That's #1 club in the world, guys. Yeah. That's really cool. You just played in Universe, so I'm sure the music you played there was not the music you're gonna play outside.
Yeah, no, it's completely different.
Probably not gonna be the music you're playing in the plane for the people that are going to Belgium to go watch the Tomorrow.
Well, the good thing is they can't leave and they can't go anywhere.
So they gotta love it.
So they're gonna have to listen. It's like, oh, you can't go anywhere. Shame. Okay, I'm going to do like really gritty, dirty tech house set, and you can't do anything about it.
To be fair, I've been on not this type of flight specifically, but the flight where they're coming by and they're giving you guys drinks and everything and stuff. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love it.
And also, what I love about a Tomorrowland crowd, they're quite open. Like I played Tomorrowland Winter for them this year, and I opened the Reflection of Love stage, and I started off like quite heavy house straight away, and then I played quite a lot of Latino house, and then towards the end of my set, I took it into some more like quite heavy anthems, but they're really open. I've played all sorts of different sets at Tomorrowland because I've played the last couple of years, and they just are happy to be there. The people that go to Tomorrowland are very special, very international, and some people come from all over the world to come there, and they're all just up for it. A bit like here at Mambo. People here are just up for it, aren't they?
Yeah. So generally, yes, I would agree. I would agree, especially when you're someone like yourself. We have to be clear, though, because it's not for everybody either. I've been here long enough to tell you the truth. Someone like yourself, with the energy that you bring, the aura that you bring, that, you know, what's the word? It goes out to the
Do you think that's why it gets so crazy on a Sunday?
Yes. What do you mean? You won't be alive? I need to be here more often on the Sundays to actually witness it, but I'm seeing the live video. I'm like, this is nuts.
Last
mind
week,
you, it's not a pre-party. It's not a pre.
No,
so
it's
you'll
not.
watch it and you think, oh, which pre-party? Which pre-party is this? What part? No, it's just CARLY WILFORD. She's just, you know, she's creating the vibe, and the vibe is just, it's just, you know, infectious.
Oh, it's so much fun. I literally love it. It can be that moment every single Sunday where I literally can't wait to get here and play.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm like, let's go. So good.
So going off of that, I wanted to ask you about the music, the sound. So we talked about different types of music and different types of music that you need to play depending on where you are. What is your sound? What is CARLY WILFORD's sound? And then obviously there's your sound as a DJ.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the biggest flexes, by the way, just me personally, I want to cover more of your sets. I'm looking forward to covering a few this summer. My day off, and it just isn't. It conflicts sometimes.
I always love seeing you. I'm like, here he is.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest flexes as a DJ for me, I would love to hear your opinion on this, is when you can come into the booth. It's Armin van Helden, by the way. When I think of the not top one, either him or Claptone, and then just play your tracks.
Yeah.
Medusa can do it too, and just play your tracks for 30 minutes or an hour. Literally, almost the entire set to your tracks, and everyone's just going crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's such a flex because, I don't know. Okay, I want to start with that, and then let's go to the next one. So, you're a DJ. You play music, but you also produce music. What is your sound? And is your sound of the music that you create?
Yeah.
Is it similar in any way to the sound of the music that you like to play as a DJ for, like your normal set? Not like you're going to do this specific set here, like. CARLY WILFORD in her bedroom today. She's like you said, you were doing with the vinyl and stuff. What's the music that you're gonna play yourself that you enjoy? Because Jason Bai told me when this is the GOAT. He's amazing. Yes, he told me, Byron. It's not about the first interview we had of Mambo Tales, by the way. He said to me, Byron, it's not about. It is about the crowd, but the most important thing is that you enjoy the music. The person that's actually that's playing the music needs to enjoy. The music, and that's what's going to transverberate, or whatever the word is, to the crowd. Well,
it resonates. People feel it. Word, yes. If you're standing in the booth looking grumpy and you're not enjoying the set that you're playing, you've got to remember, sound is a frequency, and you being in the booth is you're almost like transmitting that. If that makes sense. Yeah. And so I think if people bounce off that and they feel it, and I think that's exactly the point he was trying to make.
Right. So are your two sounds, are they similar, or can you explain that to me a little bit? The music that you normally play.
Yeah.
Versus the music that you produce.
Yeah.
Can you give me describe to me what the sound is? What is your sound?
So,
what is your genre?
Yeah, so mine's house, tech house, basically. Okay. Everything is quite chunky and has loads of attitude.
I love the word chunky. I've heard one other DJ say, I forgot who it was. She said, she said chunky house tunes. I was like, I love the word chunky.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone use this word chunky.
Chunky. I love stuff with attitude, with a little bit of sass.
Yeah.
So I have some tunes that I've done really well. I've got one called The Dance. That's the heavier side of my sound. With MC called Sergeant Pokes. He was a legendary dubstep MC. I don't play that here. It would be a bit heavy. But last night in the bunker at Universe, I could have played it. For example, I didn't. But yeah, chunky house. Anything that has loads of energy. It's almost like bottling myself as a person and putting it into a tune. And the best advice I ever got from someone is create the music that reflects who you are as a person.
That's beautiful.
Because then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's what I've always tried to do. My latest tune is called Chemistry, and that's really interesting. Again, it's really sassy. But yeah, loads of chunky bass lines, lots of energy, lots of rides, lots of hi-hats, builds. I love an epic breakdown, love a big drop. But yeah, just some of the edits that I've been making, I've gone back to old classics and given them a heavy bottom end and then added in some more builds and drops. I just like people to feel like they're on a bit of a journey. It's a bit like the way that I describe it to my friends is a lot of my sets are like looking after someone's kids, winding them up and then sending them back to their parents.
I love
Enjoy.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the type of music that I try to make. And so then I can play it in my sets.
So you do play your music in your sets? Because I know some DJs that produce, Paul Derry, for example, he doesn't necessarily play a lot of his tracks in his sets.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's reasons for that, but you play your music
Always,
in your sets.
yeah.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday, yeah.
That's
Especially the edits here. Yeah, people don't always know. There's
But
some
it's
tunes
just-
here that I can't play because obviously we've got a vibe here. Sunset's just come. You don't want like the set that I'd play at 4 a.m. here. They'd be like, "What are you doing?" Because someone turned the decks off. Carly's got a bit dark.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with my sound. Obviously, there can be the playful side, and then I love taking it a little bit darker and grittier and heavy at points.
I feel like I'm not a DJ. If I ever were, I would be doing it the exact same way because I love to create and I love to have my hands on the stuff. Like, if the music that you're actually playing every night is basically music that you are like working on, music that you played with, you edited, that's got to be great because then you get to see the reaction from the crowd and they don't even know, like you said, oh, this is actually not the original. This is something that I played with, and you like it. You like it. You know, that's got to be
so
super
good.
exciting.
And also as well, what I'll do is I'll try stuff out and then I'll have a list of feedback. So obviously sometimes I work on my own, sometimes I work with other producers, sometimes working with vocalists. So it'll be like, right, I'm going to road test this tonight and then take it back into the studio and work out what we need to work on and what needs to change. And yeah, it's amazing. Like at the moment, I'm currently working every day on loads of music ready for Tomorrowland because I'm like, imagine playing in the sky and kicking off with your own tune.
Okay. So you're actively already envisioning that, like that's something that you're working for.
Yeah,
and that's
for sure.
something that you're preparing yourself for.
Yeah, you kind of have to because otherwise you can just, I mean, the thing is you can hunt for music for days, but if you can create something original, and actually what's really interesting is that if you then look at big festivals and if you go on to 1001 track lists and you look through what a lot of artists play in their sets, like if you look at big people like Solomon, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of them will be IDs and there'll be his new music that he's trying out or music that he's signing to his own label that he's then trying out for other artists. And I think that's really cool to do as well.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask you about Tool. You spoke about it a little bit, Tool Room. What is your relationship with them currently? And so when you're producing music, is it always Tool Room that's signing, or how's that?
So I'll work on music generally,
Gotcha.
and then have different labels that I align with for different sounds. So I've done a lot of releases with Tool Room and their sub labels. I've released on Armada, released on Nervous Records, Adesso. I've done lots of releases with different people, but Tool Room for me, I just love them as a team. They're amazing, and sonically, the music that I make, it just aligns really nicely with. So when I've finished music that I know would fit on the label, I'll always send it to them first before anyone else. But then obviously, you know, there's other tunes that my sound can deviate slightly, whether it's, you know, a bit more vocal or a bit heavier. So that's when I'll probably go to other labels. But yeah, Tool Room for me, just as a team, they're an independent label. Mark Knight's the head of it. He's just a legend. We have such a laugh. Amazing producer, really good DJ, great human. And so I just love being around people that are in this industry for the right reasons. They work super hard and they want to see you be successful and fly. And I think when you can find those tribes of people, it's a bit like last night when I played at Universe, I played for Fisher's team, and the people that are around his camp are just great humans. And so I think that's what's so important in music. When you find people that you all get on, they're your tribe, they're the people that you resonate with, then you all push each other forward. And it's the same with Tomorrowland, same with Mambo, same with Tool Room. Yeah, you just all get on, and then you just are all in it for the right reasons.
Yeah. Okay. That's wonderful. Okay. So I've never asked a DJ about that. I've got like 2 more questions. I've never really asked a DJ about this, but I've always wanted to. The artist label or the label thing. So I've never really understood how that works. So you create music and then and the way that DJs work is they just kind of introduce the music to labels and labels decide if they want to sign it, yes or no. And
Yeah.
This is how it works.
Yeah, so I mean, there's different ways of putting out music nowadays, right? And actually, you don't have to put it out on a label. You can put it out independently if you want to. But working alongside a label is helpful because they have their own audience and they have their own listeners that listen to that label. But then obviously the sonic of it can be quite clear. And obviously if you're signing to a label, you're then buying into their audience, if that makes sense. And they're buying in to you as an artist. But then you're getting marketing behind it, PR, distribution. You know, they're putting it out on their social channels. But then in return, you're then giving them a chunk of your music, if that makes sense. So signing to a label is crazy splits, by the way.
Really?
Crazy.
Is that crazy for good or bad?
Well, I'll tell you and you decide.
Okay.
So different labels are different, but you could be giving away anywhere from 50% up to 85%. So you're retaining...
Like the rights of the music.
So you're retaining between 50% to 15% for yourself, depending on the deal, right? But a distribution deal, which is where you put out the music yourself or through your own label, and you're working with just a distributor, which means you're then doing all of the hard work. So you're then doing the PR, the marketing, you're paying a plugger maybe. You could then hold on to 90%, and you're giving the distributor around 10. Every deal is different. But you can see why now there's been a rise in...
I was just about to ask you about that.
Artists setting up their own labels.
Everybody's doing that now.
Yeah.
Everybody I know,
why.
or at least, not everyone, but a large chunk of people are like, yeah, I'm starting making my new label, starting my new label. Like, damn, why is everyone starting the new label?
That's why.
I didn't know. Thank you for explaining that.
Because the deals are, you know, I think actually record label deals are quite archaic now because a lot of them are based on when labels used to have the cost for putting out vinyl, right? And nothing's really changed and evolved. But then what that means, I mean, you look at the huge house movement with people like, you know, Chris Stussy, Josh Baker, Max Dean, Rossi, they all have their own labels and they're flying and they're all signing each other's tunes and then they're putting it out.
Keeping it in-house, if you will.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then they book each other for each other's lineups, they're signing each other's tunes, they've created their own ecosystem where they're all flying. But there's so many labels, there's so many big artists out that have their own labels. Most actually do, if you think about it. And that's why. And also it's quicker. You don't have to wait for a slot in a release schedule. You can just put out music whenever you want.
Okay. Thank you for
We've got geeky today.
And listen, these are some of my favorite episodes. I've only had a few like this where we get really technical, really talk about the music. But this is exactly what this platform was created. This platform was created for what you have just, you know, brought to us. So I really appreciate that.
No, of course.
I think the last question I wanted to do. Well, there's two. Okay. I want to talk about Café Mambo. We can't walk out of here without us talking a little bit more about Café Mambo.
Sure.
And I also want to ask you, what CARLY in 10 years? Where do you see CARLY WILFORD in 10 years? Let's start with the first one.
Okay.
Can you just talk to us a little bit about you playing here at Café Mambo, your first season as a resident DJ, and what that means to you?
So it's really interesting because the first time I ever came to Ibiza, I remember coming here with my mates. It's always the place that you go to, right? You go to Pasha or you go to, you know, any of the clubs, but a sunset at Café Mambo is always on your to-do list. You haven't completed Ibiza. You cannot get on the plane until you've been to a sunset at Café Mambo. It's something so special about it. And, you know, for me, it was always the thing that I had to do. And so when I stepped off the plane this year and I spoke to the booker and they were like, look, we want you to try out for being a resident here on a Sunday. That for me was like, oh my God.
I forgot that. I actually forgot that you came off the plane and that wasn't in the plans.
No.
I told you, because when we were texting, you told me like, yeah, it was, you know, I'm going to give it a try. Like,
yeah.
Good. You weren't a resident DJ when you arrived here.
No.
For a Café Mambo.
No.
You went and earned that.
Yeah, but that's bucket list as a DJ.
Yeah.
Being able to play here every week, not just as a one-off, being able to play here every week and be part of the fabric. Like, if you think how important Café Mambo is for Ibiza, like, it's been here for over 30 years. Can we just shout out Javier as well? I mean,
Shout him out. Javi.
what
We
a
love you, man.
legend.
Okay, so we look at this camera.
Yeah.
Javi, we love you, man. Shout out to Javi.
Honestly, like, whenever you come here and you see his face with that big smile, and I'm like, "How are you? How's your week been?" And he's like, "It has been fantastic."
Fantastico.
Every
Every
week.
time.
And that's the energy that's in this place. So as soon as you step here, whether you're here on holiday, whether you're here as a DJ, I'm just so grateful to be able to be part of that, because everyone who works here, the staff are a vibe, the people that come here, you know, it's a real highlight of their holiday or their time on the island. And, you know, being able to do that as a DJ is just so special. And obviously when I play on a Sunday, it can be for like 3.5 to 4 hours. And being able to play here and help to soundtrack that experience for people is something that you can never ever take for granted. It's just, this place is, you know, it has been here for a very long time. There have been some amazing people who step onto those decks. When you go downstairs and you look at all the Polaroids. Crazy.
Oh, a lot of names that you mentioned, you name dropped a lot this episode.
Did I?
There's nothing wrong with that. We need that. We love that. You name dropped a lot this episode. You know a lot of really big time DJs. And a lot of those guys and girls that you named have all come and played here. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Like earlier I was waiting for you and I was looking up at the pictures, and you know, the Swedish House Mafia and Armand van Helden and Todd Terry and you know, so many legends.
Legends, icons. We had Todd Terry last week. Like, legends. Armin will come, I'm sure. He always comes there once a year. All right.
Yeah.
So last question, Carly. Carly WILFORD in 10 years. Where do you see yourself?
Okay, I want to have a residency here at one of the big clubs. I think that would be amazing. I want to continue being able to help and support other DJs and producers. I think probably I'll have a label by then. And just be smashing it on a touring schedule all over the world.
Come on. I love how you smashed that answer, by the way. That was fantastic. You said, I don't know what I'm going to say. And you said it all right there. Carly, thank you so much for this. 10 years from now, I actually can see that being the case for you. And the reason why I can is because of how you are right now. The energy you bring every day, the hunger you bring every day, the passion and dedication you bring every day to this. It's inspiring, not just for somebody that's a DJ that wants to be. It's inspiring for people like myself that is a creative person that wants to push themselves every day. So when people see someone like you, that's the thing that you represent. So I just want to say thank you for doing the interview, and thank you for giving us all your takes. It's been wonderful.
Oh, thanks for your time. I've absolutely loved it. Keep smashing it too as well. This guy is a legend.
Well, guys, this was Mambo Tales, episode 3, season 5. This was Carly WILFORD. You'll see her on Sunday nights from 10 p.m. and we're out.